Look at the stats. 5 out of the top 6 televised rated games on the WNBA this year all involve Caitlin Clark. The only one that doesn't was a second half of a doubleheader in which Caitlin Clark played the first game.
Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back, too. I guess look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If you're in the room, what are you doing with the Judge MVP number? Books are now 2-1, standalone favorite. What are you doing with the Judge number?
What do I do with the MVP? I let them bet Judge at what? Even money? Come on in. I mean, you have to acknowledge now that he's the guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
And we are back, Ferrall, Coast to Coast, hour number 2 here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Big second hour coming up. We'll get Davis in with the Lion's Share later on. Coach Young will be by as well as we get ready for Mavs and Celtics game number 3 tomorrow night down in Big D. All right, Joe, I just have 2 other things for you with the hockey, and then we'll move on to the baseball for tonight. Here are the series odds. If you think the Oilers down 2-0 can come back and win it, it's 4-1. It's minus 550 for the Panthers to close the door here. Honestly, Joe, I would need, and I know I say this a lot, I would need more than 4-1 for them to win 4 out of 5 at this point. I would need a little bit more than that.
All right. No, I mean, really? I mean, okay. I think they close it out. I think they're gonna do exactly what you and I've said and bet them to do is just sweep them. I'm not sold on Skinner. I'm just not sold on them right now. They're more of a finesse team, in my opinion, than they are. They're like chippy and just winning, and they were able to do that against Dallas. But Dallas, for some reason, isn't the same as the Panthers. Panthers have better defensemen. Panthers have a better goaltender. And at the end of the day, that is their style. They've got here last year. They're battle-tested. They're not going to field the Edmonton Oilers, even though they're playing in their house.
By the way, Panthers to sweep, plus 320 now. So 11-1 before the series, now plus 320 is what they're hanging that for. Panthers in 5 at plus 240, Joe, for the series in this. As far as the Conn Smythe goes, Bobrovsky's performance in these first 2 games has him, Joe, sitting right there at the top of the board right now. There you see Bobrovsky now minus 165. Barkov is there. McDavid down to 550. Kachuk's at 10. Verhaeghe is at 18. Now, Barkov's being injured, Joe. That's going to change some things. I think at this point that number's right. If Florida, no matter how many games this goes, wins, I think that Bobrovsky's going to win the Conn Smythe. I think that's almost set in stone as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, unless Verhaeghe breaks out, 18-1 is a pretty good number. No?
It's the problem is, and Mafia got a bigger number on him in the 20s, but it's the entire playoff. It's been established here. Even if he's, even if he has a hat trick, Joe, in like one of these next two games, like I don't think that that's enough. And that's why he's 18, enough to push him all the way up the board to pass three guys, right? Kachuk, Barkov, and the minus money favorite. So unfortunately, Joe, if you had big dreams for some other guys on the Panthers, I think they're over, Joe. I hate to do that to you. I know that it upsets you, but I think that those dreams are done. But we can still get the Panthers in a sweep, and I know that that makes you happy. That's for sure. So Game 3 coming up on Thursday night. How about some baseball, Joe? I want to start our baseball stuff with last night. Only a few games. Yankees beat the Royals 4-2 in Kansas City. They got themselves a really good pitching performance from Carlos Rodon. And in what was a kind of a skeleton crew lineup, they did get Soto back, but they gave Judge a night off. Stanton didn't play either. A lot of guys had to do small ball, Joe, to score some runs for the Yanks. And Jose, don't call me Lee Trevino, was one of those guys, 2-run single on the Yes Network.
Second and third, 2 out. Line drive, base hit center field. LeMahieu scores. Here comes Grisham. He will score. It's a 2-out, 2-run single from Jose Trevino, and the Yankee lead is 4-0.
There you go, Joe. Trevino getting it done for the Yankees. They've got a fat total there for us tonight, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But after losing 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, they get right back on the horse against a team that's played some pretty good baseball and get a win. And Soto did play, which is a good thing for them, because I was very questioned over the weekend whether that injury was going to be more serious than they let on.
It was. They jumped out. I actually thought they would get over the 9.5 last night. They didn't even come close. I'm actually inclined to take it tonight, but I have to see. I mean, it's juiced to the under again. So I think the Yankees are the side. I still think they could score some runs. Hopefully they get into a rhythm, and hopefully we sail through this 10 total that I altered it up to tonight.
Alt. The Orioles beat the Rays 5-2. They took all 4 games in Tampa over the wraparound series weekend. They're right on the Yankees' tail. They're a couple games back in the AL East. Twins beat the Rockies 5-0. Brewers beat the Jays 3-1. The highlight here for me, Joe, and I got excited about it on the radio last night, was we did have Willie Adames for some tater time, and we put it with the golf, and he got it done. Valley Sports, Wisconsin.
Adames deep left center, and the Brewers are going to have the lead. Number 10 for Willie.
Number 10 for Willie, Joe. Big fly for Willie Adames as he gets us to the window for tater time. How about Cal Raleigh for the Mariners? Now, me and you left. This game was like 1-0 in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
Was looking like a dead under between Chicago and Seattle. Robert had a homer for the White Sox. Thought that they were going to get this done, but the Mariners rally in the bottom of the 9th, and the walk-off grand slam. I know that our buddy, you're about to hear Dave Sims from Root Sports Northwest, said 3-run homer, but a grand slam for Cal Raleigh on Root Sports.
There it is right there. He crushes it, and the Mariners are going home a winner. A 3-run jack by a big thumper, Cal Raleigh. It's a 7-4 Mariners victory.
Dave got slightly excited there, Joe. Didn't know that the bags were juiced there on that Cal Raleigh home run. If Joe was in the car and he needed that run for the alt over, and he heard Dave say it was a 3-run homer, not a grand slam, Joe would have been very upset. Joe would have been very upset.
I would have been flipped if I was sitting on the 11.5. Thankfully, I had 9.5.
I thought the bases were loaded. Joe would be screaming in the car. Oh, I wish he had that on. Padres beat the A's 6-1. You know who else is red hot right now, Joe? Fernando Tatis Jr., a 16-game hitting streak, and he's been hitting a lot of taters lately on MLB.
To right field, Cameron going back, looks up, and that ball's gone! Home run for Fernando Tatis Jr., his 13th, and now has a 16-game hitting streak. Padres take a 3-1 lead.
They've now taken over, Joe, that second wild card spot in the National League, the Padres. It's a very crowded National League wild card race with just about everybody except the Marlins and the Rockies being involved. But we'll see if the Padres can get going, Joe. I know the team you hope gets going is this next one. They also are in the third wild card spot right now, somehow, some way, and that is the San Francisco Giants. They beat the Astros 4-3 in 10. Austin Slater walking it off on NBC Sports Bay Area.
High drive to left. It is off the wall. And this one is over. They did it. They came back in the bottom of the 10th.
Well, Joe, there you go. Your Giants coming through last night against Houston.
Told you those Giants. All we need is those Blue Jays to get right. A little bounce in the step from the Blue Jays, and we'll have both. I think the Giants are going to make some noise come playoff time. They got Webb. They got the pitching. You'd be shocked.
I'm not going to lie. I was stunned when I looked at the wild card standings today, and I saw that they were actually in the third spot. Now, there's like 2 games separating 8 or 9 teams.
Doesn't matter.
But I was surprised that they were in that second spot behind the Padres right now in the National League. But as they like to say, Joe, there's a lot of baseball left. There's a lot of baseball left this year. We'll see if the Giants can stay in that spot for the next few months. All right, Joe, we will come back. I have our weekly look, of course. We always do the best and the worst money line. And we have the best over and under so far this year. I've got AL and NL odds, then all the games for tonight. 15 games on the MLB slate. For El Coast to Coast on a Tuesday, Carver High and Joe Friscotti. We're back after this.
Look at the stats. 5 out of the top 6 televised rated games on the WNBA this year all involve Caitlin Clark. The only one that doesn't was a second half of a doubleheader in which Caitlin Clark played the first game.
Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back too. I guess this. Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, "Look, don't come back." I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If you're in the room, what are you doing with the Judge MVP number? Books are now 2-1, standalone favorite. What are you doing with the Judge number?
What do I do with the MVP? I let them bet Judge at what? Even money? Come on in. I mean, you have to acknowledge now that he's the guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid at SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us here today. All right, Joe, a few things before we get to tonight's games. First, odds to win the NL as we sit here almost to mid-June. And the Dodgers and the Phillies and the Braves have clearly separated from everyone else. Braves have had some injuries, as we know. They've lost Strider for the year. They've lost Acuna Jr. for the year. I don't think, Joe, they probably should be up there anymore with those two at the top, but they clearly are still being booked there. The Brewers are in good shape in the NL Central right now. And then you start to get into all those teams we were talking about, Padres, Diamondbacks, Cubs, Giants, Cardinals, and others that are 50-1 or longer to win the NL. Diamondbacks have all the tickets. Dodgers have the money, 21%.
Yeah, and they deserve to be there. Obviously, the Phillies and Braves are going to make some noise, and that's where I would put my money in regards to the front runners. But those deep shots, I sort of like the Giants. I think if they get into the playoffs with Webb and those pitchers, I think they can make some noise. They're under the radar, and again, they have the ability to just go under the radar straight into the playoffs, and that might be a team that you bank on to make some noise, and they have great value right now heading into the month of June.
Man, Joe is going to keep talking that position with the
What's
San
wrong with it?
Francisco
They're
Giants,
starting to play
man.
well. They're playing
talking
well.
that position, baby. The other team that you've been doing that with in the American League is actually not on the big board that I'm seeing here. The Yankees are plus 210. The Orioles are 4-1. Mariners 7-1. And then the Guardians. And the Guardians, by the way, have the third best record in baseball. And they're 9-1 to win the American League right now. Astros, Royals, Twins, Rangers, everyone else 35-1 or longer. Orioles have the highest amount of tickets and money so far to win the AL.
Yeah, Yankees look good, Orioles look good, but I'm going to continue to go with deep shots. How about Texas? They won it all last year. I know they haven't been playing consistent, but we're only in June, and we have a lot of baseball left, nowhere near the All-Star break. We still have a month before we get to the All-Star break. So at 14-1, you want to give me the defending champs to sneak into the playoffs and potentially steal it. I'll take my shot on the Rangers. Everybody, if this was the Astros, everybody would be banking on the Astros to do it. So why not the Rangers, Carver?
So why not the Rangers, Joe? Indeed, that's for sure. Joe, I'm going to pass on the money line stuff because I know there was some issues with that graphic today in terms of not all the games were caught up right on there. So let's go to the over-under, which we do every week as well. The best teams to the over and the under so far in baseball. As you look, the Tigers, Joe, continue to be on that over list along with the Brewers, Orioles, Marlins, Giants, and Mets. On the underside, Astros, Rangers, Braves, Mariners, Twins, and there's your Blue Jays. So interesting to see the Tigers on the overside, but they have a lot of 7.5s, 7 and 7.5s with them. And the Astros side, Joe, lots of unders for them so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the team that stands out for me to the under is the Braves, right? Playing small ball with Acuna Jr. out. They have to find ways to manufacture runs. And that's why I like them tonight, Carver. They have a cheap number, 7.5. I think they could blow right through that number tonight. I did take it over 7.5 in terms of tonight's game. But keep an eye out for the Braves' big picture. Once they find their identity heading into the playoffs, I think they're going to be a very difficult team to beat as opposed to last year where they punched themselves out.
I think, Joe, they're going to have to make a couple moves at the deadline just because of what they've lost. I don't think as they're presently constituted, they're good enough to beat the Phillies or the Dodgers. And I know I get the punch themselves out last year theory, but I think that they're going to need to add a little bit more, especially in the starting pitcher department. Maybe they will. They've been very good at that. When they won a few years ago, they were very good at adding at the deadline and getting the right pieces. So we'll see if Anthopoulos is able to do that again this year. The Braves are in Baltimore tonight, Joe, and that's where we'll start our long journey. 15 games tonight in MLB. They will have Max Fried, who has been excellent, especially his last few times out. Albert Suarez is going for the Orioles, and you don't get this. We used to get this all the time, Joe, but the books have kind of caught up to it a little bit with the Orioles' prices, especially at home. Especially they've gotten obviously very good the last year and a half, but tonight you're getting it again, plus $1.15 for the Orioles at home. I get they're facing Fried. Braves are minus 135 and a 7.5 total here tonight, Joe. I see plus money with the Orioles at home. I gotta take it.
Well, I'll root it for you, but I like the over. They bet it down from 8.5 down to 7.5, and that's because of Fried. But I think the Braves can score, and I think the Orioles match up well against Fried. So give me the over. Took it over 7.5, and it's juiced to the under. So have a little bit of a shot there. I like it.
The Nationals will be in Detroit against the Tigers. Kenta Maeda goes for Detroit. Mitchell, don't call me Parker Lewis, can't lose, is going for the Nationals, who are minus 105. Tigers minus $1.15, and a flat 8 in this one as well. I like the I do kind of like the over, Joe, just because I like the Nats first of all, and I kind of like the over because my 8 has been awful, and I think the Nats, who've been spunky as we know, are going to be able to score some runs off of him tonight and maybe win the game.
You might be right. I lean to the Tigers, but actually when I saw the total, I said under tonight. So I'm not going to play it. It's a no play for me just because that 8.5, I think the Nationals league type of game, I don't like taking totals and overs in those, but we'll see how it plays out. I mean, if you're going to play it, I'll root it in for you. I don't like this game in any capacity. Lean under, and I lean the Tigers.
This next one's my favorite over of the night, Joe. The Cubs are in Tampa against the Rays. Jameson shots at Tyone against Zach Eflin. Minus 145 for the Rays, who have lost 4 in a row. Riddle me that. Cubs are plus $1.20, but the 7.5, Joe, is where I'm at. I think both pitchers can get hit tonight. Over 7.5 for me at the Trop.
Well, you talked me into it, Carver. I've been playing overs with Tampa Bay, and they've been a little spotty, right? They got a couple against the Pirates, got a couple against the Orioles, but they didn't do it with offense. So hopefully they could break out. I altered it up to 10.5.
You got a lot of guys in this Tampa lineup who have seen Tyone before from his days with the Yankees. They've got some history against him. I think they'll be able to score, and I've got some Cub guys who have good history against Eflin. They'll score too. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. We're back on the grid right after this.
Look at the stats. 5 out of the top 6 televised rated games on the WNBA this year all involve Caitlin Clark. The only one that doesn't was a second half of a doubleheader in which Caitlin Clark played the first game.
Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with the injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back too. I guess look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If you're in the room, what are you doing with the Judge MVP number? Books are now 2-1, standalone favorite. What are you doing with the Judge number?
What do I do with the MVP? I let them bet Judge at what? Even money? Come on in. I mean, you have to acknowledge now that he's the guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver Ryan, Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us. All right, Joe, let's get a few more of these in for tonight. We'll go to Cincinnati. We've got the Battle of Ohio between the Guardians and the Reds. Tristan McKenzie's going for Cleveland. As good as Cleveland's been, Joe, he has not been good. Brent Sutter's going for Cincinnati. This is a pick'em. Minus 110 both ways and a flat 9. Think about that, Joe. Cleveland, third best record in baseball. Pick'em against Cincinnati, who has not been very good. Let's face it. Why? Because McKenzie stinks, Joe. This could also be an up, and away, and I like the Reds tonight.
Do you? I like the Reds too, but I asked you about the 9. It just seems a lot. I mean, again, I think I might have to look at the portfolio. I might have altered it up to 10.5, but that's as high as I'm willing to go. They might have a price just right. Hopefully we can get through the total. I mean, the Reds have been hitting pretty well still. So let's go with De La Cruz. Let's go with Cincinnati. I like them at home, and let's get through this 9.5 tonight.
You want to add De La Cruz for the Tater time tonight? You want to get him involved?
I'd rather. I'd rather do like an RBI for De La Cruz or 2 ribbies.
You want to go light. I understand. You don't want to go the full way. I do have a red in the Tater time coming up in a little bit, and it's not Ellie De La Cruz, Joe, which you would be interested to see.
Who do you have?
The Marlins are at Citi Field to open up against the Mets. The Mets, of course, coming back from London. Hello. Jesus Luzardo and Tyler Megill for the pitching matchup tonight. The Mets right now, Joe, minus 155. The Fisher plus $1.30. Another 7.5 for you.
Yeah, I like the Marlins tonight. I'm going to take a shot. I think the under does come in. I think this is a game where the Mets never play the Marlins well, so I'm going to take the Marlins and the under tonight.
The Phillies, of course, are also coming back from London where they played the Mets, Joe, except they are stopping in Boston before they go home, and they'll have Zach Wheeler tonight against Cutter Crawford. Minus 155, Phillies the road favorite, plus $1.30 for the Sox, and a flat 8 here. You know, Crawford's been pretty good, Joe, and we know how good Wheeler is. He's the favorite for the Cy Young right now in the National League. Is 8 too heavy in this tonight?
The fact that they're coming back from London, that's the only thing holding me back over. I did want to take this over tonight and altered up to 10.5 because it's Fenway, but it's got me nervous because of the trip. Is there going to be any jet lag? Or, you know, they played straight through. You think there's going to be ill effects. I know it's not that long of a flight, but still, I'm a little concerned.
I mean, they probably left, Joe, Sunday after the game. It's really, in reality, like doing West Coast to East Coast, quite honestly. They were probably in Boston late Sunday night, at the minimum, first thing Monday morning. I think they're going to be okay, Joe, by tonight. I do. I think they'll be okay. I don't think it's something that we should be concerned about. The Rockies are in Minnesota again against the Twins. Of course, Twins beat them last night. Our pal Cal Quantrill against Louis Varland, the pitching matchup. Twins minus 210, plus $1.70 for the Rockies, and an 8.5.
This is tough. I like the Rockies, and I like the under tonight. Again, the Twins, I know they broke out the other night. Would they have 6 runs, 7 runs? But typically at home, they're spotty. So give me the Rockies and give me the under in terms of tonight's game.
Appointment television, as always, Joe, in Pittsburgh now when Paul Skeens is on the mound, and he is back there. Skeens tonight in St. Louis against the Cardinals, who will have Mikolas going for them. Pirates minus 135 on the road, plus $1.15 for the Redbirds. 7.5 is the total. We're going to keep riding the Skeens train here, Joe?
I don't like the game, but I would lean to the Pirates just because it's Skeens, and we'll take the over. We'll take a shot. But this is not one of my favorite games.
I don't love it either. I do think the Pirates can win this game tonight. I'm going to look into some Pirate homers against Mikolas, once I get a chance after the coast-to-coast, look at the lineup. Maybe we'll get Reynolds in there, a cruise missile, etc. But I do think Skeens can shut down the Redbirds this evening. We'll slide. Yeah, you know what, Joe? I'll wait. I don't want to rush into anything because I'm sure you probably have some alt over in the Blue Jay Brewer game that I want to make sure that you get the full read in for us. And you love those Blue Jays. That's for sure. So we'll finish the baseball at the end of the hour. We'll come back. We've got the lion's share with Davis. We've got Coach as well. Busy Tuesday here for Coast to Coast. SportsGrid Radio. Carver High and Joe for Scotty. We're back after this.
Look at the stats. 5 out of the top 6 televised rated games on the WNBA this year all involve Caitlin Clark. The only one that doesn't was a second half of a doubleheader in which Caitlin Clark played the first game.
Only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back too. I guess this. Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, "Look, don't come back." I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us today. BetMGM has you ready all the time. How about their first bet offer of up to $1,500? What are you kidding me? 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once the initial wager is settled. That is BetMGM's first bet offer up to $1,500. Speaking of BetMGM, it is time for the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. And Davis Maddock is with us today. We will get his baseball plays for tonight as part of our Lion's Share. Davis, good to see you as always, my man. Let us start here, because I was taking I try not to look at the standings every day, David. Baseball's so long. It's 6 months long. There's so much that happens week to week, day to day, month to month, and it's difficult. But I did happen to gander this morning. And I actually did not know this till I looked. There's 4 teams in the NL that are obviously kind of far and away. 3 are clearly far and away, Dodgers, Phillies, and the Braves. Milwaukee has kind of established themselves now as the team in the Central. They've got a little bit of breathing room. So if you put those 4 teams to the side, there are 9 teams within 2 games of each other for the other 2 spots in the National League playoffs if the season ended today. If it ended today, it would actually be San Diego and San Francisco who would have it. I mean, the Giants are under 500, Davis. They're 33-34, and they would be the 3rd wild card. But Cincinnati, the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, even the Mets, as miserable as they have been, are only 2 back in the loss. Is this going to go on all summer, Davis, or are teams going to start to break away?
No, it is going to go in all summer for 2 reasons. The first being there are really only 2 tragically bad teams, the Marlins and the Rockies. I don't even think these teams with sort of losing records, but not like the Diamondbacks have a losing record. Are the Diamondbacks a bad team? Are they without talent? No, I really don't think you could say. I mean, when Slade is pitching or Ryan Nelson is pitching, sure. but like they've got a lot of very good players on offense. They made a very deep postseason run. Are the Cardinals terrible? I mean, the Cardinals aren't good, but they're definitely not terrible. But then on the converse, you have to ask yourself, well, what about the teams there who are in the wild card standings? Are they really good? Are they going to create a difference? And I think that is a resounding no. I mean, right now, the Washington Nationals theoretically could make the playoffs. I think that tells you everything you need to know.
And I just looked, Davis, because I wanted to see, and BetMGM has to make the playoff numbers for all of these teams in the National League. All of them are about the same, except the Nationals, who are 18-1 to make the playoffs. With the same record as all these other teams. Mets are 550, Giants are plus 200, Pirates are plus 500. You know, they're all between 2-1 and 5-1. And then the Nats are 18-1. Like, that is a huge difference, Davis. If you're thinking about, hey, want to have a little fun, little gas for the summer, root for the Nationals, maybe to get that third wild card spot, 18-1 is pretty juicy.
It is. I mean, I'll tell you why the market is being set that way, though. It's obviously twofold. They're not getting a ton of action on the Nationals to make the playoffs, I would assume is a big part of it. But the other thing is they are going to make no improvements to their team on purpose. They're not going to add any relief pitcher. They're not adding a fifth starter. If anything, if someone comes calling for, someone wants Joey Gallo, someone wants, some random reliever, they're going to be able to take them for absolutely nothing. Now, considering the ownership for the Mets and some of the moves made in the offseason for teams like the Reds, I mean, it would be pretty funny if the Nationals did end up making up the playoffs. I'm hoping that our boy Scotty's Pirates are the team that makes the move. I don't think it's real likely, but I would love to see Skeens or Jones pitch in the postseason.
And you will get to see Skeens pitch tonight, Davis. Of course, Skeens is on the mound for the Pirates in St. Louis against the Redbirds, who have Mikolas going for them. Are we expecting another big performance from Skeens this time on the road against the Redbirds?
I mean, I think we can pretty much anticipate a big schedule, a big start from Skeens, like anytime. I might go to this game. Should I go to this game? It's right down the road. I'll be there. I'll be there in like 10 minutes. I bet tickets are like nothing. Maybe I'll see if I'll go to this game because I am anticipating fireworks for Paul Skeens. I mean, I think although you and I did note this, the last start that he made, we ended up getting that one wrong against the Dodgers. Yeah. I mean, he is the singularly most overvalued player in the player props market right now. And it goes the other way too. I bet if you took a look over on BetMGM at like the home run odds for like Nolan Gorman, I'm going to guess, not even looking at my odds sheet, I'm going to guess you get Nolan Gorman home run 6-1 right now, 5-1 maybe on BetMGM.
Plus 550.
No disrespect there. Yeah, that's a good bet. I mean, that is just a good bet, I think.
Honestly, like Goldschmidt's plus 650. Nolan Arenado plus 725 tonight. Now look, I know he hasn't had the best year with the power, but Davis, you're usually paying between 4 and 5 for Arenado, and you're getting 725 for him tonight. So I mean, look, little splash, because he has given up some homers. He's been dominant. He's struck guys out, but he has given up a couple of long balls. So that's something that you do have to consider tonight. Let's get to your plays for the lion's share, and we will start in San Francisco, where the Giants, as we mentioned, are in that final wild card spot in the NL right now with the Astros back in town tonight.
They are. Now, the San Francisco Giants are they're sort of exactly what you would have anticipated at the beginning of the year. They have very good pitching, both starting pitching and out of the bullpen. They rely on a lot of timely hits. They're actually getting a great season out of 25-year-old Patrick Bailey. Chapman has been a good free agent signing. Conforto coming from the Mets has been pretty good. Weirdly, they're paying all this money for Jorge Soler. I mean, he just really hasn't gotten going yet. 7 home runs, the same as Mike Yastrzemski. Not really what you want. But this wager is more about Jordan Hicks. Really, when he controls the walks, any start for Jordan Hicks where he's like 2 walks or less, he puts the Giants in a great spot to win. He actually had a really strong start against the Mets 2 weeks ago, 8 Ks, 2 walks in that one. He got blown up relatively blown up in his most recent start against the Diamondbacks, 4 walks in that one. But my deal with him is Jordan Hicks, he's going to get hurt soon. I mean, look, let's just be honest about it. He's a reliever, not a starter. And I think the market is off on him, so I'm just buying the Giants on Jordan Hicks starts.
And you are going to double down on Jordan Hicks tonight.
Yes, we are going to double down on this one. I mean, look, 4.5 strikeouts against this Astros lineup. It feels like maybe it's a different Astros lineup that is being projected. This is a very heavy K lineup. Even their really good hitters, Tucker, Bregman, and Alvarez are heavy K guys relative to their positions. Over 4.5 strikeouts for Jordan Hicks is one I really like tonight.
And you take Tucker out of the lineup now, going on the IL. You're just putting more guys in there who, like you said, lots of swings and misses in that Astro lineup at this time. And the Blue Jays are in Milwaukee again tonight. They lost 3-1 last night, but they have our boy Kikuchi on the hill tonight, Davis.
Yeah, God, it makes me sick to bet on the Blue Jays. I do not think they're that good of a team. But Kikuchi, man, I mean, he has just been nails. Really, I mean, he's been nails for like his last 300 innings pitched. I feel like this is sort of a secret in Major League Baseball, but this is like a 1.18 whip guy with like a very low ERA over the last 300 innings. I'm buying on Kikuchi. I think he mows down some Brewers tonight, so we are taking the Blue Jays money line this evening.
Now, if only the bats would help him out, right? Because like you said, Kikuchi's pitched great, but that Blue Jay offense is just, there's so many nights, like last night, where they are non-existent and they don't get it done, even against mediocre pitching. Davis, we'll see you back here tomorrow. The Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. We're back after this.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
Look at the stats. 5 out of the top 6 televised rated games on the WNBA this year all involve Caitlin Clark. The only one that doesn't was a second half of a doubleheader in which Caitlin Clark played the first game.
Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back too. I guess this. Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, "Look, don't come back." I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If you're in the room, what are you doing with the Judge MVP number? Books are now 2-1, standalone favorite. What are you doing with the Judge number?
What do I do with the MVP? I let them bet Judge at what? Even money? Come on in. I mean, you have to acknowledge now that he's the guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Coach James Young is with us, of course, as we get ready. Another off day in the NBA. NBA Finals Game 3 in Dallas tomorrow night as the series shifts down to Texas with the Celtics up 2-0. Coach, good to see you as always. And despite all of that, Coach, we do have some news today involving this series, and that is Kristaps Porzingis, who, as we saw at the end of that game on Sunday night, clearly had some things going on. Now, Coach, I ain't going to sit here and try to do this. Rare, torn, medical. I'm not even going to try to pronounce, say all the stuff that this is. He's got a leg injury, Coach. Left leg injury. That's very serious. They're calling it rare. I saw Missoula say an hour ago it's a serious injury. At the end of the day, the medical team is not going to put him in any bad situations. We've taken the decision to play out of his hands. Porzingis says, Coach, he's going to try everything he can to play. The last cherry I'll put on top for you with this, Coach, is our guy, Dr. David Chow, who, of course, we have every Friday during football season here on Coast to Coast with the injuries. He tweeted out earlier this hour that Porzingis is not day-to-day. He expects him to miss the rest of the NBA Finals and likely have surgery. That is, of course, Dr. Chow's opinion. That is not what the Celtics have officially said, Coach, so we take that where we want to take it. Either way, let me ask you this way. What does it mean if Porzingis isn't going to play again in this series?
If Dr. Chow is right, and we know how credible Dr. Chow is and how long he's been in the industry, you've already saw Carver High. The line has moved from 1.5 to 2.5. It's already moved. So people are predicting that this is not going to happen. He's not going to play. This changes a lot because of one of the reasons why I had liked Dallas before the series is I didn't know how good Porzingis was going to be. Now, I thought it was the other injury that was going to hold him back. But this is a guy, over the course of his career, as talented as he is, can't stay healthy. Some just freak things that are happening, just like now. So if you take away Porzingis, who blocks 2.5 shots per game, I want people to understand this from a coach's perspective, okay? When you have someone that can block shots, it is not just the blocks. It is the alteration of your shot, the thinking that someone is around the basket, and change in philosophy and how you attack that team. You take the best shot blocker. You take the best rim protector. You also take a guy that picks up a chunk of the minutes. Now what does that mean? Al Horford gets to play more minutes. That's where he can get exposed. That's why, if you're smart, what Joe Mazzulla was doing is he was playing, ready for this, folks? He was playing Horford to start, Porzingis off the bench. Why at points? Because that allowed Porzingis to go against Lively. That is part of the matchup here. Now you also dig deeper. Luke Cornett has to now be sprung into action because you're not going to play Tatum as a 5. Folks, if you're looking for an angle to jump in on Dallas to win the series, this is the moment you may want to jump in. They're major plus money to come back and win. If you don't want to do that, I would just money line them for game number 3. I'd money line them now because if Porzingis gets ruled out, Carver High, it may move to 3.5. And then the money line will probably be minus 160. Save your cents, 20 cents now, and go jump on them to win.
You know, Coach, and like they're even giving you, Mavericks in 7 at plus 950. Mavericks, they're giving. There's some juicy stuff out there, like you said. Like I don't think I could play them in 6 right now because even though it's 14-1, I don't think they win 4 games in a row. But I think in 7, if that's where you wanted to take them, that's the chance. And look, they're plus 550. Here's the funny part about these numbers, Coach. They're plus 550 to win the series right now. They can only win the series in 6 or 7 games. All right, they can't win the series any other way. So when you look 14-1 at 6 games, plus 950 for 7 games, I think that's, Coach. If you like you said, if you're a believer, I think that's the area where you maybe want to attack that.
Yeah, and another way you want to attack Carver High, if you just want to just go right for just even money, Mavericks plus 2.5 games right now in BetMGM is plus 115.
Yeah.
So if you win 2 games, that's it.
Like that,
and
Coach.
I think they're winning. And I think they're winning game 3. So I mean, if you can find even money, I'd go to the window and take it. If we don't think Porzingis is going to play,
I like that, Coach. I was just looking at that next. The 2.5 is plus 115 right now. That is another way that you can go. Now, Luka also has got some injury situations. He received a pain-killing injection before Game 2 to numb the area of his thoracic contusion. That's all fine and good, Coach. He had a 30-point triple-double after he did that. So they're going to do this again before Game 3 tomorrow night, I'm assuming you're going to get a big-time Luka Doncic performance. I don't care about them telling us he had a Phantom shot.
He's getting a shot because he's carrying the whole damn team. That's why he's getting shots, and he's numb. He's carrying them. Hopefully someone, Kyrie Irving, steps up a little bit. I'm telling you, folks, they're going to be at home tomorrow. Players, role guys at home always shoot better.
Coach, give me the 3 WNBA plays for tonight quickly. Tell me what we got.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dream minus 6.5 at home versus the Mystics. Simply put, the Mystics are terrible. I know they haven't won a game as of yet. Next, I'm going to go with the Vegas Aces. Becky Hammond has not been happy with this team. They're not the same without Chelsea Gray. But the Lynx are kind of going back and forth there. I take the Aces minus 6.5. And then my crazy one tonight, I'm taking the Sparks plus 11.5 at the Seattle Storm. They won 2 games in a row. Darica Hamby, you haven't heard of her. This girl's a player. I think they keep it close.
And I think we should also say that I believe that Coach gave us the clean sweep yesterday on C2C with the WNBA plays. Am I right about that, Coach? Wasn't that 3-0 sweep?
Well, shout out to Christy Sides for sitting her starters the entire fourth quarter. Thanks a lot, Coach. Maybe Coach will come coach the Indiana Fever in a couple of weeks once the NBA Finals is over.
Get Coach on the horn. Coach, we'll see you tomorrow, Game 3. We'll get all your plays for the Celtics and the Mavs before first tip. Bro, Coach to Coach. We're back on the grid right after this.
Look at the stats. 5 out of the top 6 televised rated games on the WNBA this year all involve Caitlin Clark. The only one that doesn't was a second half of a doubleheader in which Caitlin Clark played the first game.
Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back too. I guess this. Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, "Look, don't come back." I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
If you're in the room, what are you doing with the Judge MVP number? Books are now 2-1, standalone favorite. What are you doing with the Judge number?
What do I do with the MVP? I let them bet Judge at what? Even money? Come on in. I mean, you have to acknowledge now that he's the guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Top of the next hour, we're going to have Smiley Kaufman with us, of course, the Smiley Show here on SportsGrid. We have breaking golf news. John Rahm out at the U.S. Open. He has withdrew. Of course, he withdrew from the LIV event this past weekend. He is having issues. He's got like a laceration between his pinky toe and his second toe. He was walking around in flip-flops today down there at Pinehurst, and he just made the announcement a couple minutes ago that he has to withdraw from the U.S. Open. So we'll get Smiley's thoughts on that and more at the top of the hour. All right, Joe, I know how much you love the Blue Jays. Let's try to finish these off with them. They're in Milwaukee again tonight. They have Kikuchi on the mound against Carlos Rodriguez. Blue Jays minus $120, even money for the Brew Crew, and an 8.5 here, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Blue Jays, Carver. And I didn't get it last night. I thought they would break out for the runs. It was still the same total, 8.5. But I think tonight we could get it into the teens. So give me the Blue Jays. Give me the over in terms of this matchup.
Yankees and the Royals again in Kansas City. It'll be Marcus Stroman and Brady Singer tonight. Yankees minus 135. Royals plus $115. A big fat 9.5 total, Joe. And I'll tell you this, I like the Royals tonight to beat Stroman at plus $115.
Yeah, I don't have a feeling on the particular side, but I did alt this up to 10.5. So I think both pitchers, Stroman and the pitcher going for the Royals, gas can city. So let's go up, and away. The problem with the Yankees is they've been scoring in bunches. Can we get it from start to finish? They jumped out 4-0. They didn't have anything the rest of the game yesterday.
No, they did not. The Angels are in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. Jose Suarez against Jordan Montgomery. The pitching matchup, minus $160 for the Snakes, plus 135 for the Angels, and a flat 9 here. Joe, I think this one could be an up, and away tonight.
That's the bailout then, Carver. I'll take it. Late night special. Give me the over in regards to this matchup, Arizona and L.A. Hopefully they can get through that. I'll keep that in the back pocket, but lean to the Angels tonight.
White Sox are still in Seattle against the Mariners. It'll be Brian Wu against Thorpe. Minus 225 for Seattle, plus $180 for the White Sox. And a flat 7 tonight, Joe. They go down a half after 12 runs last night.
Yeah, doesn't this smell a little bit? 7? I lean to the White Sox, but there's a no play for me. I mean, I lean to the over if I had to play it, but I don't like the number.
Randy Vasquez for the Padres tonight at home against the A's, who have J.P. Sears and Roebuck. Minus 160 for the Friars, plus 135 for the A's, and a flat 8.
Yeah, as hot as Tatis is, the Padres are a dead under team the last 2 weeks. Now, I feel like every game is an under for them. So, give me the Padres and the under.
Astros are still in San Francisco. Ronel Blanco against Jordan Hicks tonight. Of course, you just heard Davis give you that he likes the Giants and Hicks, minus 115, minus 105 for the Stros, and a flat 8.
I'm taking the Giants, and I'm taking the under again. I don't have any confidence in this game getting over the 8, but I do like the Giants at home. Might even lay the 1.5.
And finally, Joe, on a very heavy baseball slate, the Rangers are in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Dane Dunning against the Big Maple, James Paxton, minus 160 for L.A., plus $135 for the Rangers, and a flat 9. Very heavy total out in L.A. tonight.
Yeah, but the Rangers, again, they couldn't get through that totals with the Tigers in that series, dead under, right? So I don't have any confidence in them. I do think they match up well with the Dodgers. I'll take a shot with them on the road, but no feel on the total. I would stay away. I would actually lean to the under 9.
And finally, Joe, for baseball, here it is, a Tater Time Tuesday on Coast to Coast. Let's go. Cody Bellinger beats up Eflin, and he'll do it again at the Trop tonight, plus 425 for him. Marcus Semien, great numbers against the Big Maple, plus 600 late night in Los Angeles. Christian Walker is a Tuesday staple, 4-1 for him in that Arizona game. Bobby Witt Jr. off of Stroman at plus 425. I told you I had a red, Joe. Spencer Steer at plus 475. And I'm going back to Profar, Joe. Why? He's hit a couple homers since we tried him last Tuesday, and he's facing a lefty again tonight. He's been hot. He destroys lefties, and it's a fat price at $7.75. Let's get Profar tonight out at Petco.
All right. Again, bailout special. Over and Profar.
We're playing Profar. Now, you could play him for an RBI at least, Joe. You at least play Profar for an RBI tonight in the Padre A game. All right, we'll come back. We have another hour to go. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. We'll come back. Smiley Kaufman from Pinehurst, U.S. Open. We're back after this.